Hello everyone and welcome to Vidain TV's coverage of the SIM500 Esports Racing League. We are west in the desert town of Avondale, and that means we are at the Diamond in the Desert, the Phoenix Raceway. Welcome everyone to the Transervice, Transportation and Logistics Solutions Kong Beer Bong 150. Tonight we have the typical crew in-house, Mr. Paul Strickland down in the production booth, and Tim Terry is here with me to call the action. Tim, race number 5, and we are ready to conclude this West Coast swing in Phoenix.
Yeah, familiar gang up here and familiar gang on the racetrack with Daniel Falkingham in behind that pace car with the 95 of Josh Williams to the outside. So two drivers that have run up front, that have plenty of laps up in front early in this season, and we'll look to put another win in the column for both of them as the field gets ready to roll off here in just a few moments' time. I think a couple of cars in the back are still gritting. 43 strong, though, getting ready to go racing for 160 laps tonight.
10 drivers made it in on time tonight. Coming from 5 races into the season, Tarasca, Parker, Gonzalez all have top 10s, some top 5s, looking for a win here tonight. But Tim, it's Brian Macklin who won both of these Phoenix races last year in 2020.
And Macklin's coming off a race where he probably wants a little more than desired the last time we raced here on Monday night. So keep an eye on that Transervice number 30. He is going to be up on the wheel, trying to get everything he can here tonight.
DeBarro returns tonight. He's in the number 27, starting in 3rd. David Comstock 4th. Nicholas Kohan 5th. And you could watch the lineup scroll through as these drivers come around, expecting an exciting elbows-up race here, Tim. This car, this setup just a little bit loose. It makes these drivers make sure they lean forward and get a good grip on that steering wheel.
And the green flag is out. We are underway for the Transervice Cup Series at Phoenix. First of 2 stops here this season. And Kevin, get an idea of how these drivers run here, because it could very well play out in a championship for one of them. As we got one car already in the infield. We are still green. He saved it, whoever it was down there, to the inside, and we remain green.
Yeah, that is the 30 of Macklin down there on the apron. He comes back to the racetrack here in turn number 4, jumps back up, and he's back to position number 21. Close call for them. And such an unusual track as they come down through the dog leg. You'll see him drive down almost to the inside fence sometimes, and then they come back to the track. That's a trouble spot. And these drivers got to be really careful when they come back that there's not somebody on their outside.
And for those that are watching and saying, well, why isn't there a cactus in the middle of the front straightaway, and why is what we're on now not the back straightaway, not the front straightaway? This is the older configuration of Phoenix that we have on the iRacing service, and these drivers are still going to definitely push it to the limits. As you see up in front, there's the 21 car of Kohan as he takes a look in front of him and tries to move up a position on David Comstock. Up in front, Daniel Falkingham will come by and lead the third lap of this race. And looking back at that shot there, Kevin, looks like everybody has kind of found their footing early in this one. A lot of single file trying to pick up some spots.
Your car single file, and one of the dynamics of this racetrack is you tend to race the drivers that are right around you. Difficult to come forward here and drive through, but tires make a whole tail here, Tim, as drivers will come forward once the tire wear starts to set in.
We've seen a lot of green flag racing this season out of this series, so it wouldn't surprise me to see a green flag run or two or maybe more when it comes to the cycle of green flag pit stops. Up in front, Daniel Falkingham continues to lead this thing, but he's being challenged by the 27 of Anthony DeBarro. And DeBarro, there's another driver that we're used to seeing up in front, Kevin, that might not have had the first couple of races that he's desired, but he's got himself some track position through qualifying, and now he puts himself on that back bumper of that number 39 of Falkingham at a 2.
Yeah, Falkingham started out on the pole, and DeBarro was able to leap over Josh Williams, and he's running right in the tire track. So Falkingham just looking for any bobble. That's pretty much what you do here, is you run tight to the car in front of you, look for a mistake, or if you can get a good drive off, you're going to try and drive underneath, beat him to the next corner. And I'll tell you what, DeBarro, he's not wasting any time there, as he's putting a lot of pressure on Daniel.
Putting the pressure on early, goes down to that inside and tries to get that line, but won't get there as you look through the field and see those cars work their way down into corner number 3. Caught into the corner of my eye, the 51 of Justin Fuller has made his way back up to position number 6, and Josh Parker was our winner last week, Kevin, and he kind of mentioned about that Fuller guy, and he doesn't want to dwell, I'm sure, on the 43rd place finish that he had 1 week ago, but running right now in the top 10 comfortably. He's got the 33, I believe that is a Byron Daly, and behind him, so plenty of familiar company up near the front of this field. The 5 of Trey Edson, also a part of this top 10 run, so there's plenty of time for these drivers to move, but Justin Fuller has definitely parked what was last week and put it behind him and sets his sights on what could be a top 5 run here on Comstock.
Yeah, right now the top 10 looks kind of similar to where they qualified, except for Macklin, who's still running back there in that 21st position after that first lap bobble. The car coming forward so far is Kevin Brown, running right now in his 16th position, started 22nd, trying to pick his cars and pick his lanes, pick his battles there, doing a good job coming forward as we're ticking off the laps. Lap number 10. Let's take a lap around here at Phoenix International Speedway. We'll settle in with one of these drivers and tell you it's fun to run this racetrack. You drop down off the banking into that apron, you coast the car down into turn number 4, run it right to the edge, up off the corner, let the car roll up a little bit, take as much of the racetrack as you need. You're wide open all the way down the front stretch. You look for those cones out on the wall on the right side, pick one of them, slow down, carve your way down to the yellow line, and then it's up off this corner and try to get the best speed you can down through this kink through the dog leg, because that's where you make a lot of speed here at Phoenix.
And Kevin Brown doing a great job here early in this race. He's got Gabo in front of him, and in behind, Joey Bailey, who had a great run to kick off the season at Daytona, takes a look to the inside of the 93 coming off of turn at number 4. 11 laps completed, and now Kevin Brown kind of stuck on the outside. Jose Gonzalez, the next in line, and in behind there, I believe that might be the 81 of Adam Gilliland. And you want to talk about some drivers that had decent qualifying efforts. There's Chad Coleman. Compared to where we're used to seeing him, the 38 car, looks like he had a better qualifying effort, currently running in position number 20. But through the field, the 43rd place qualifier tonight was the 41 of E.J. O'Rourke. He's made up 2 positions, up to position number 41. So we talk about comers and goers off the start of this race, Kevin, because I'm sure there's going to be some like Chad Coleman that push their way towards the front before this thing is all said and done, E.J. O'Rourke being one of them. And there's the 20 car on the screen trying to inch his way into the top 20.
Yeah, the track is a mile in length, but it races a little bit like a short track sometimes, especially on the restarts. They can get insane, and these drivers, they see some tire wear, so they have to do tire management, but fuel is not a problem. They can run, well, I think once they get somewhere around halfway and top off, Tim, they can finish the race with whatever they got. So fuel really not a strategy play here at Phoenix.
But of course, getting down to pit road, if we do see some green flag racing, is going to be trying to manage that, and how aggressive do you get to go down towards that line and try to beat your competitors on pit road and try to get that advantage coming off. There's Richard Beasley in the 10 as we're kind of skimming through the field here to see where everybody is running, and you might be able to see your favorite driver here as we go backward right now through the field. There's the 63 of Stenzel as he battles with the 44 Glenn Campbell for a position. So early in this race, I think we've seen this season, and it's the benefit of SIM500. A lot of these drivers running with each other week in and week out and in multiple series. There's a lot of respect between some of these drivers.
Yeah, and these drivers are undercover here, as they were told in the drivers' meeting that the Xfinity team ran caution-free last night. So they were told to match that or feel bad about themselves. As we see these guys just kind of pacing themselves here. You get to that point where you stop racing the car in front of you, you race the racetrack, and when you get a good run, then you try to make the move. Well, I'll tell you what, I was watching, who was that car right in front of me? It was Fuller, come off of turn 4 and got all the way up and scrubbed the outside sparks coming off the right rear as he was using all the racetrack. He's chasing down, trying to get past Trey Edson in the number 5, running in that 7th position.
Still plenty of time to get that move done, though, as you ride on board down into corner number 1 with Justin Fuller trying to chase down the 5 in front of him of Trey Edson, and still plenty of laps and time to get it done, especially if you're Justin Fuller. He knows as well as anybody does, you don't have to lead lap number 18 to take away the points and take away the checkered flag here this evening, even though there is some points scattered out throughout the races when it comes to stages. But the 51 trying to get to the front of the field, and looks like he had a little bit of a handful coming there off of corner number 4 and falling back a little bit off the 5, if you can call half a car length a little bit. But still trying to manage this race right now, still early as we work lap 19.
Up front, it's smooth sailing for Daniel Falkingham. He's just hitting his marks absolutely perfect. The car's not moving around. He's right off that yellow line coming up off of turn 4. Straight as an arrow, and the car is very fast. They do about 160 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway, and they come down to just over 100 miles an hour at the slowest spot. So different speeds going through this racetrack here with Falkingham. He looks like he's on a rail in the early going.
Keeping the pace up in front, and Anthony DeBarro not really pushing the issue either and letting Daniel Falkingham run his race. Maybe this is the time where Anthony DeBarro saves a little bit of a sideways off of quarter number 4, that time for the Coors Light number 27, but they have gapped the 95 of Josh Williams. A little bit of a gap back to the battle for position number 4, so these drivers kind of biding their time right now and not having to force any issues as Byron Daly flashes a nose to the inside of Kohan, battle for position number 4, coming off of 3 and 4. Only battle right now that is side-by-side, Kevin, within the top 10.
Daly drives up to the number. Now he's even as he goes through. He has a preferred line in turn number 1, is it? So confused because we're not running the track the way we're supposed to. But he makes that pass. He's going to take over the 4th position in the 21. Perk Coffee, new paint scheme for the 21 this week. Drops back to 5th position, tucks right back in there. Looking right behind him, David Comstock saw that pass and has to wonder if he's got an opportunity to make a pass.
David had a pretty good qualifying effort here tonight. We're used to seeing him, at least in the first couple of races, Kevin, kind of qualify around outside the top 10, 15-ish. And with the qualifying effort that he had, qualified fourth, has been able to keep it up in the top 10, currently in position number 6, and running around with some familiar company, and Trey Edson right in behind him. As they come up at a corner number 4, they'll complete one more lap. And there's Tim Johnston right in behind in the 28 car. He had a solid top 10 run late in that race last week, and just continues to rack off some consistent finishes. Talk about winning, you're in for the playoffs. You got to do points too, just in case you're on the wrong side of the inch and can't get that victory. I think Tim Johnston is quietly going about that and starting to scrape up a few points.
Yeah, Johnston, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s on the year. Currently 8th in points, coming up 2 slots from 10th. And just yeoman's work, having a solid year, constantly running up there, staying out of trouble. And, first you try to get to those top 10s. As the car in front of him gets absolutely sideways, he's going to take the opportunity to duck underneath David Comstock. Now he draws up to the door. Yeah, he saw him get sideways. Maybe he's going to be careful trying to get past. As Comstock's car looks very nervous on the outside coming off before the Snap Mobile Shop Camaro. Not very comfortable in that outside lane. He's going to let that Comstock car, or let the Johnston car slide by and yield the position. Move Johnston up to 8th, as we were talking about it. Good run for him early in the going. And
David might have got the fence that time at a corner number 2 and down or through the dog leg and down into 3, and the 13 continues to try to defend now that position in behind him with Pedro Mojica back there. But we're at the point now, and we keep saying this week after week because these guys keep reeling off green flag laps and green flag runs. We're about lap 27 into the run. This is where the fuel load starts to get a little bit lighter. If you were a little aggressive on the tires, made a couple of passes early, this is kind of where that starts to show. So we're starting to see those drivers maybe fade a little bit in the case of David Comstock, especially here in the last 5 to 10 laps or so. He's really fallen backwards, loses one more spot back there to Pedro Mojica in the 58. So we're starting to see the comers and the goers, but up in front continues to be Daniel Falkingham pacing this field.
This is one of those racetracks you either love it or hate it. You could drive it down in it, and to me it seems very strange to say this, but it drives a little bit like New Hampshire. It's flat in the corners, you run it down, you try and get it to the edge of the grip, let the car float, get up off the corner, try not to over rev the car and spin the tire and get it loose. If you can find that sweet spot, you can make speed here, Tim. Some drivers are good at that, and some drivers just cannot find that groove.
And sometimes it takes you a little bit, and by the time you get to that little bit, especially under green, you're a quarter or a half lap down, and Daniel Falkingham is a little bit closer to lapping you than you are to catching the 39 car. So it's just a matter of getting comfortable. Obviously, a lot of these drivers have driven many laps here at this Phoenix racetrack, but trying to get your footing where you qualified is going to be big, and especially with these races going green as they have been, qualifying definitely at a premium. If you're a guy like Chad Coleman, who's had a subpar qualifying record this season, qualified just outside the top 20 here this evening, he's got a better chance to move up than he has the last couple of races. If you're in the case like EJ O'Rourke, you're starting dead last, you've got plenty of time to get there. But if it's all under green, it becomes that issue of how do I make up those positions? How do I do pit strategy to kind of negate that and try to move up? If you're Daniel Falkingham, he's got the best seat in the house right now, as we see out in front. 31 completed this time by, and they've all been led by the 39.
Yeah, Falkingham clicking off some really good laps. He's 1 or 2 tenths faster than some of these cars in the field, which means in no time at all, he's probably going to catch up to some of these back markers. And that should make an interesting dynamic for the second place car of DeBarro. Is DeBarro on cruise control waiting for Falkingham to get into practice, into some of those slower cars and looking for the opportunities? As I'm watching Josh Williams, he slipped back a little bit, 2.4 seconds off the lead, as Falkingham is running pretty torrid pace so far here at Phoenix.
Great little battle on our screen is Byron Daly, one of those drivers that is started to move towards the front of the field, picking up positions. He's to the inside of the personal comfort 95, of Josh Williams. Can't get that run through the dog leg, but definitely gets it down into corner number 3. They'll be side by side, wheel to wheel, coming up out of corner number 4. And Byron Daly, little slide to the inside, but just enough to clear the 95. Josh will let him have that spot and move the 33 of Byron Daly up to position number 3. He is on the move. The question is, does he have anything on this run for DeBarro or Falkingham as we race on lap number 34 of 160? So plenty of time early in this Transervice Cup Series race.
Byron Daly qualified in on time. One of those drivers that had to qualify was not locked in for the race. 5th fastest of the qualifiers. Got to say thanks to Ryan Wertman, Milt Matisse, John Fowler, Nick Chambrone, Don Runkle, Matt Macklin. These guys come out and run, qualifying laps. Didn't make the cut here for Phoenix. They'll come back next week in Atlanta. This is the last race where the locked-in drivers are going to get it. I was speaking to Joey Jatina just before we started here tonight, and they're trying to decide, will they qualify next week on time, or will they take, say, the top 30 and then run a last chance qualifiers race? There'll be a discussion about that and a decision this week, and we'll find out the answer when we roll into Atlanta on Monday.
I know there was a lot of talk at the start of the season about the top 35 being locked in after race number 5, and then the other drivers had to qualify their way in. I know there was talk about doing away with that system. It upset a lot of those drivers at the start of the season that thought, hey, if I get a first 5 races and I can get a good start to this season, then I don't really have to worry about qualifying my way in. So we could sit here and debate it the whole time back and forth, Kevin, because there's 50-something drivers in this series. There's 50-something different opinions when it comes to it, but it'd be interesting to see what that qualifying procedure looks like next week. But regardless, we're still going to have the 43 fastest drivers, I think, whatever way you slice it, still in these fields.
Yeah, one way or another. The other conversation going on this week, drivers were testing the dirt track at Bristol Release, and there'll be a decision this week as to whether or not they're going to run the dirt track or go with the asphalt version of the track when we roll into Bristol after Atlanta. A lot of drivers tried it out and liked it. Some of them are still pretty tepid on the idea. They said they need a 10-vote swing in order to figure that out, and going into Atlanta, we should get the answer to that one too.
Do we get a vote?
I don't know. Do we?
I
think we could ask for one. Maybe we can have a half a vote.
I think those boys should put the big boy pants on and race the dirt.
I feel the same way.
I vote yay.
I was about to come to Paul because, Paul, we saw it with the Tim's Corner League that we cover, the Tim's Corner Open events that we cover. It brings out a different, I don't want to say a different group. Still, your fastest drivers are going to be near the front of the field, but it might bring some drivers that might not necessarily run near the front every single week and put them near the front. Paul, it's almost like a road course when you think of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to tell you, Tim, we did the special event with Tim's Corner Motorsports last week, and I got to tell you, going into it, I was really nervous. We got a bunch of guys. They run short tracks. They usually run or the super late models. We ran the trucks, and they put on a phenomenal show. It was really, really cool to see just what drivers were able to adapt to the different driving style, going from short. Well, I mean, you're still on a short track, but now it's got dirt on it, and you're running a real powerful vehicle here with the iRacing Sim. So I would definitely love to see these guys run dirt. I think it would be absolutely phenomenal. Go through the whole gambit. Go through heat races. Do the last chance qualifier. If we have to run a little bit late here on Verdane TV, so be it. But I think that would be that show would be absolutely money.
And for those that haven't tried Bristol yet, Kevin, just came out last week. You do yourself a favor and do it. I did a couple of laps in the truck when we were testing for that race, and it's great. If you haven't, even if you don't like dirt, maybe you're not a dirt guy on iRacing, it's worth the try, and it comes free if you already had Bristol. So there's no excuse. There's really no excuse.
Yeah, I've run some laps and really enjoyed it. The challenge is going to be 43 cars on that. That'll be just one of those things. But they're going to do it in the real world, so, yeah. Daniel Falkingham continues to pace this field. He's 2 seconds out from Anthony DeBarro, and out his windshield, he's now starting to see other cars get bigger. I do believe in the next handful of laps, as we work lap number 43, that he is going to start getting into some of this lap track. It looks like it is going to be onesie-twosie as he gets there, though. That's the good news for him.
You can see it out of the shot there down into corner number 1. For the guys that are up front, there's not a whole lot of traffic to contend with right now, especially if you're running in those top 2, top 3 positions. Falkingham right here in the 39, and got one piece of lap traffic ahead of him, but there's really no taxing issue right now for those drivers as we come by this time to complete the 44th lap. It's been all Daniel Falkingham. He continues to pull away from Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro, I think it's more falling back from the 39, because I think Byron Daly is starting to inch in a little bit to DeBarro's second place lead. There it is right there on your screen as the 33 gets a little bit quicker and starts to reel in the 27. I think he and Falkingham are about the same pace right now, but there's only 3 seconds in between them.
Yeah, certainly the car that has moved through the field today has been Byron Daly. He just drove around the position for third and is now driving through his yellow out on the speedway here for the first time.
And it's E.J. O'Rourke in turn number 2, I believe it is, but he didn't go all the way around. So unless there's something else on the racetrack, I caught it out of the corner of my eye. E.J. was half sideways, and I think it was just enough sideways that it's going to trigger the caution flag. Heck of a save. We'll go back and take a look at the instant replay with Paul, and we knew EJ had talent. I think we saw it here. Well, there's one more car there too, I guess, in the fence.
Looks like the 31 also have some trouble there.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. There you can see on your screen the 31 machine running right in front there of EJ O'Rourke in the 41. And we'll find out what went down here. Got to bet we're going to be seeing some action down on pit road here after we take a look at this Kong Beer Bong instant replay. But there you can see the 31, the back end just kind of steps out, coming out of the corner. There you can see, tries to save it, but it looks like he's going to clip. Well, that's more of a smash there on the inside pit wall there. A little bit of a tap there from the 08 into the back of the 41, but he gathers it back up. And you can see the 3 car kind of very quickly gets into the back bumper of the 41. And, well, any other driver, if it was anybody other than E.J. O'Rourke, that car would be done. That car would be smashed. That car would be totaled. But E.J. O'Rourke's behind the wheel of that number 41 car, straightens that thing back up. No harm, no foul. And I actually want to take one more look at that from the inside of that number 41. Just a phenomenal save there from E.J. O'Rourke. We've seen him do it a couple of times throughout the season here. And also in the Throwback Series, the 87 Cup car. There you can see, really solid on that wheel all the way. Just phenomenal. Very, very good heads-up driving there from the 41.
Look, I'm almost like Keselowski coming off the pit wall there. Yeah, well, we know who's going to run well on dirt. Looking at the way the 41 turned it right there, it looked like, I'm looking at what's going on pit road, Tim. It's feeding time at the zoo. Just about everybody dropping in. Why wouldn't you go get tires? They have 4 sets, including the ones they started on, and everybody opting to come down and get 4 tires and fuel.
And we have a different driver up in front. Anthony DeBarro was able to get the up when it comes to a quicker pit crew and takes away the advantage up in front over Daniel Falkingham. And looking at the standings, it looks like Tim Johnston comes out in third. So, Kevin, I'm not sure if he took 2 or 4, but from just inside the top 10 up past Byron Daly on that exchange. But it's funny. We mentioned last week at Vegas that Adam Gilliland had an issue in his pit box. I talked to him after the race, and I asked him, I said, was it something about, trying to get into the box? Was it a glitch? Like, what was going through there? And he had said that he had just tried to back that car up so many times that he got frustrated and went on his way and said, hey, this is the bed that we're in, and this is the pit strategy that we've kind of made for ourselves. If he had a caution, it probably would have worked out for Adam Gilliland, but he didn't get one. Adam is currently 16th. He's got some positions to make up here, but again, having to come from the back, but he's already got that win this season to lock him into the playoffs. So I guess he can, I don't want to say he can afford to have those issues, Kevin, but if it's with the win in the back pocket, it kind of helps. Yeah,
that's uncharacteristic for a driver of his caliber to have pit road problems, but been there and done that. And, sometimes you just can't get in the box the right way. No matter what you try to do, you slide through. And Yeah, momentary frustration you get as I look at these drivers racking up there, watching some new names coming up here towards the top 10, and then others that are not moving through too quickly. I'm looking at Mike Kelly in the 24th position, just kind of pacing himself. Mike, had a better week last week, and again looking to try and build on that, and started 37th, running 24th, so quietly just working his way forward.
Great little battle up here for position number 3 as Byron Daly's going to try to take it from the outside of Tim Johnston down the front straightaway. They go. The 95 of Josh Williams didn't get the run off pit road that he wanted to. Kind of boxed in here right now. He was running, for the most part in that run, 3rd or 4th, and now trying to get back up there and fight for what would be a top 5 spot as they go down onto the apron on the back straightaway and down into corner number 3. It's now a side-by-side battle for position number 4, but you mentioned it, Kevin. There's some drivers that, back half of this top 10 especially, that might not have been there on that long green flag run that are definitely there knocking on the door of a run. They definitely needed the caution flag.
Yeah, yellow out. It looks like I saw one car bang off the wall coming off of turn 4. We're going to go to a quick caution, and this is where I said this track races like a short track. You're going to put everybody together. They're going to come together on racetrack.
We had a slight little parking lot out of the corner. The 37 of Ellie Henderson pulls away. I believe the 20 of Marski was also in that little bit of a parking lot up there in the corner. But multi-car incident to trigger the second caution flag of the afternoon. We'll take a look back there and see what happened. But I saw Fuller maybe up the road. I saw the bright yellow numbers there around. So it might have started with Justin Fuller.
That is the car I think I saw bang off the wall out of turn number 4, dark blue car. Just trying to go back and catch it before the yellow came in.
Oh, what do you got?
Yeah, I got to take a look at this one from the blimp because it almost looks like it's 2 separate instances. If you look at your far left of your screen, there is some smoke, a couple of cars making some contact up on the wall. There is Fuller going in the wrong direction. BC does a great job getting around him, but there you can see the 37, I believe that is, of Elliott Henderson. Just nowhere to go, unfortunately, with Fuller pointed in the wrong direction. See if we can pull up just what happened to the 51 driver here. Looks like there's a little bit of connection issues. Maybe that had something to do with it. But you can see he's running with Chad Coleman there in the 38. Chad Coleman right in behind and gives him a little bit of a bump, comes back up, gives him another tag there. Looks like some black smoke coming out from the bottom of the 51, so that might not be good for Justin Fuller camp. So we'll see what he does on pit road. Definitely going to have to try and get that thing repaired, and it looks like pit road's busy again, I believe.
Hey, Paul, back that if you can back that replay up one more time on the 51 car. There's a little bit of contact at a corner number 4. Gets into the wall just a little bit coming out of corner number 4 before Chad gets into him. I think that was at least the reason for the momentum slowdown with the 51 car.
Definitely a possibility, and there you can see it. Just you can see the car. You can try to turn it left harder and harder to get it away from that wall, but definitely slowed him up just a little bit, and just really nowhere at that point for Chad Coleman to go. He can't go on the outside. There's a car there. Can't go on the low side because there's a wall down there. So, unfortunately, the only way you can go at that point is straight. So, tough break, but good catch there, Tim.
Yeah, that's the incident I was talking about. I saw the 51 come up, and I was trying to figure out who was behind him, and it was Chad Coleman. I think Fuller went to turn down in his normal route in the corner and probably got spooked when he saw the 38 nose down there, and then corrected, went up high, caught the wall, and caution number 2 here on lap 51 for the number 51. If the drivers went to pit road, I have to assume, Tim, that if they didn't change tires, they'll change them this time. Or maybe they're just topping off on fuel. But again, I don't know why you would go to pit road after that restart.
I think if you're at the back half of the field, I think the topping off is probably the best option, considering that we've had some green flag racing. But when you look at those two that were involved in that incident, Kevin, you've got two different, I don't want to say two different mentalities, because both of those drivers in Chad Coleman and Justin Fuller can be really aggressive when they need to be or when they want to be to pick up a position. But I think Justin Fuller just kind of got a little more than he bargained for coming off of turn 4, got that thing into the wall, and then I kind of think he went into defense mode and kind of tried to make sure that Chad didn't get by, and Chad wasn't having any of it, and That's when you get two drivers that, I don't want to say aggressive because I don't think that's the right word here, but want to stand their ground and keep every position that they can. And when you get two of those, Chad's a Georgia fan. When you get two Bulldogs together, that typically what will happen.
Yeah, I see Chad Coleman down on pit road right now. So cars are coming around. He's going to have to go hustle to collect the back of the field.
Yeah, the field will work by behind the beautiful iRacing sedan. First time we've been able to see that here with the Transervice Cup Series. The brand new pace car to iRacing will pull down and leave the field in command with Anthony DeBarro on the outside. Great jump there. Green flag flies and going to bring Tim Johnston along with him.
DeBarro out front, just cruising away. These drivers have to now just be careful. They've had two cautions. They got to figure out what the spacing is. Falkingham chasing him down. Falkingham didn't get a very good job, and yep, we got trouble over there. A couple cars to the outside wall.
Saw Josh Williams and Joey Bailey off the top of our screen being involved in that one, and I think Adam Gilliland also got a piece of this. Paul, what happened to trigger this caution? It looked like a whole lot of cars going for the same piece of real estate.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Tim, as we pull up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. And I think we're going to have to watch this one again from the blimp here. You can see just everybody fanned out here on the dog leg here, which is so cool to see. And then everybody kind of comes back in and finds a spot. So no harm, no foul there. But as we get into the corner there, you can see the 95 gets into the back and kind of shoots up into the one car. And you see a little bit of almost a synchronized spin, off by a little bit. Kevin Brown involved there. You can see a bunch of cars in towards the back involved in this as well. So a lot of cars getting a little bit of bumper car action, getting tagged by other cars and pieces of the racetrack. And it doesn't look like anybody's got a massive hit or anything like that. So that's definitely good news. But a lot of cars that really got a little bit of sheet metal to work on. We'll actually take another look at that one more time from the blimp here. Do the slow motion shot.
Watch that 81. Or the 13 get through it. Sorry. Watch the 13 hard on the binders, pulls down, goes low, gets tagged. The 93 goes around, but the 13 able to drive through the middle of that.
Skirt, just like that. See if we can pull up the onboard there for David Comstock. We'll back it up one more time and take a look at the cockpit view. And man, that's one of those things where you're driving through the smoke and you kind of want to go where the wreck is and hope that by the time you get there, the wreck is no longer there. But there you can see really crowded up in front of the 13 of David Comstock. And as they get into the corner, you'll start to see there's the smoke from the 95 getting sideways. The one in front of him is sideways. Those guys crash. They come down, and you can see the one car trying to hold it up on the wall. Does a good job there, but the 13 gets through it. No fuss, no muss, no coconuts. And it doesn't even look like he got tagged there at that point. So good heads-up driving for Comstock. Doing a great job keeping that car nice and clean.
One car I saw take a pretty big hit was the number 30 of Macklin. Two-time winner last year. Big damage to the right side, left side of that car. He went down across the racetrack, hit the inside wall, and then bounced off, almost came back out, collected Williams again, but was able to drive away. And, well, Tim, these drivers can run with a little bit of damage, but if you bang that front end and lose some power here, it's a long night.
Yeah, Macklin drove it away, drove it onto pit road, and said he was done for the evening. Macklin has retired and left the race session. And Shane Ewing, I believe, had to take a tow back to pit road, so he is currently one lap down. Adam Gilliland has decided his night is over. Gilliland will pull that 81 personal comfort Gary Mercer trucking car behind the wall. Nelson Rivera, a lot of damage to the back end of that one. He is just coming off of pit road. Shane Ewing just coming off of pit road as well. And I believe Robert Gillenwater had a little bit of damage in that one in the 4. He is going to still be on the lead lap. So besides the drivers that have retired from this race, Kevin, Brian Macklin and Adam Gilliland, Shane Ewing is the only driver right now scored as one lap down. Everybody else on the lead lap as we get ready to pull the green flag back out next time by. Field is all doubled up behind Anthony DeBarro.
Rolling behind the pace car as they come through the corner here. Off to the front stretch. I saw last time Falkingham did not get the greatest of starts. Let's see if he can get a better run this time as DeBarro goes off. Falkingham is going to probably tuck in behind him. Here comes the number 28 right to the outside. Falkingham has a preferred line. Johnston going to stuck on the outside. Here comes the 33 of Byron Daly. And tell you what, Daly looks really racy here tonight, Tim.
Byron Daly looking to pick up a victory here early in this season. Behind them, side by side, Tim Johnston had the lights out restart the last time, was able to take second place, but now he is falling back. He's got the 5 of Trey Edson to the inside, and Tim Johnston looks like he's just holding on for dear life back there on that outside line. Only driver really within the top 8 or 10 or so, but here comes the 39 to the inside. Took that look. We had one driver, I believe, killed the cone on the back straightaway, but we're still straight, we're still green.
Yeah, pretty sure that was Pedro Mojica in the 58 or the 21 of Nicholas Kohan. One of those two killed the cone back there, but the officials will get that back up as everybody kind of settled in now, nose to tail. They got to be careful on quarter entry that they don't overrun and hit the car in front of them until they get spaced out a little bit. And we look at these drivers come through, and I want to call out the 26, Jose Gonzalez, makes his way into the top 10. The Goya car is where he is, Tim. Every time we get to about this stage of the race, just plucking his way forward. A good run for the number 26. He started 13th and has just kind of hung there outside the top 10, but I think you'll see that march forward now for that Goya car.
And you know, I think it was kind of the opposite last week, if memory serves me correctly. Had a stellar qualifying run up near the front of the field and just didn't get the finish that he wanted to, or at least the midway point. He was kind of a non-issue, or we really didn't talk about him a whole lot, but now he's battling to the inside of the 18 of Tarasca as they go side by side down into the corner. In behind, Comstock, who had a good run going early, trying to pick up a few more positions and put himself back up into the top 10. But some comers and goers. We mentioned that green flag run that we had, and a couple of cautions come out and kind of bunch the field back up together, and we're kind of seeing it one more time here as these drivers fight for every position that they can. Some of those drivers a little bit closer towards the front of the field, they're making their march, and some of them kind of falling back a little bit here on this what is the start of a second green flag run.
I'm truly impressed with Tereska's run out to the outside to take over that 10th position from Jose Gonzalez. Gonzalez not done yet, as they're almost literally door to door on entry of the corner. Still running wheel to wheel as they come up off the corner to the front stretch out of turn number 4. Big wiggle from the Tereska car. These two top 5 in points. Williams is leading everybody with Mojica, Tereska, Josh Parker, and Jose Gonzalez, your top 5. And Parker, by his good runs, has come up to 4th, jumped 10 positions. But yeah, these guys are just putting on a show. They're even closer this time going in.
You can see the battles throughout this pack. There's Josh Parker on your screen, the winner from 1 week ago, and putting himself back in a position, Kevin, to vie for a victory, and currently sitting about position number 7. Well within the top 10, battling with Pedro Mojica, and he's got Nick Kohan right in front of him, so plenty of time to get where he needs to be. Under 100 laps to go, but still plenty of laps to get the job done. There's Tarasca. Falls back one more spot to Gonzalez, and I believe that might be Kelly taking a look to the inside as they continue to battle here down into corner number 1. And still some drivers that are working their way towards the front. Gonzalez picked up that 1 spot and now works up to the 17 at Cabot.
Kelly's car got nervous out of turn number 2 there. He had to let Tarasca go. Tarasca probably happy to just see the yellow line this time by, as your top 10, 11 all now single file. Got a contest up there for the 6th position. Nicholas Kohan to the outside. Timothy Johnson wants the position down low, trying to drive off of turn number 2 into the dog leg, going to cut that, and we see the car right in front of them. The 5 of Trey Edson has been way down. Coming through that time, he wasn't that far up, and I just got to look out front and say, man, DeBarro has checked out. He's gone.
he's able to set the pace. The first run that we had, Daniel Falkingham was able to set his pace and didn't really pull far away from DeBarro, at least in the first half of that run, 50-plus laps, and then all of a sudden, Anthony DeBarro kind of became a little smaller in the rearview mirror. So I don't know if this is by plan or go hard and hope for a caution flag, but DeBarro is definitely put some room in between himself and Daniel Falkingham. I mentioned earlier Chris Gabot was in the 17. I misspoke. That's Chad Cole in the 17 having the top 10 run. Chris is in the 7 car tonight, and he's back outside the top 25 right now, trying to pick up some spots in position number 29. So there's still some moving to be made. There is the 7. There's Chris battling with Joey Bailey in front of him. Bailey sporting that little bit of damage. Josh Williams in the 95, a couple of cars up the road. I believe that might be Glenn Campbell in the 44 ahead of them. So here's some drivers that are really on different agendas right now. Some of them have damage from the most recent wreck. Some of them are just biding their time, and some of them are just trying to hold on for dear life for the finish that they can get. But I think this is about the point in the race back here where there's some drivers on differing strategies. There's a 38 of Chad Coleman. And Kevin, there's the 14 of Joey Gattina on your screen as well. The 12 up the road as well. There's the 14 there on your screen, bouncing back and forth. Gael Brooks just up the road. Scott Stenzel in the middle of them. I think that might be E.J. O'Rourke and Richard Beasley. So some drivers middle of the pack looking to pick up what they can throughout this one and pick up what positions that they can as we gear ourselves towards the halfway point of this race, about 5 laps away from the halfway point.
Yeah, we've come off that caution and finally got to conveyor belt mode. Everybody kind of running nose to tail right now. Got to give a call to Doug Roth, having a good run. 16th right now for the Dirty Monkey Motorsports Camaro, the number 43 paint scheme, as everybody knows from tradition. Looking spectacular out there. Knocking on the top 15. And, you know, Tim, as these drivers come in to the Transervice Cup Series, you know that we have some of the best names. And to get a top 10, top 20 is an accomplishment. Some of these drivers, the top 10 is a good run for them. And that's not a shame, you know, not a sad thing. I know you and I, if we popped in here, I don't know where we'd run, but it wouldn't be top 20. So, you know, you look at a Doug Roth who week after week just is out there trying to put his time in, figure out how to race with these guys. You follow them, you learn the lines, and you really pick up something following these fast cars. And eventually you find your way up, and we see some of these drivers graduate to be competitors in the top 5 as the season wears on.
You know, it's kind of funny. We just came off a TCM live show where we talked to some of the sportsman guys about how do you get around and how do you learn the racetrack. And it kind of comes to the virtual world as well, where if you're one of those new drivers or newer drivers to this series, you pick a veteran and you try to learn their line and try to drive around with them. And it kind of comes to this side, too, where there's so much competition. You kind of have to be different. And speaking of different, there goes the 21 of Kohan down to the inside. And he'll have the 5 of Trey Edson to his outside when they go back into turn number 3. But it's trying to learn those lines and trying to learn the competition that is around you. And we're starting to see that from some of the necessarily, I don't want to say new drivers because they're not new to the sim, but they might be new to this series. They might not necessarily be new to the competition in this series, but they're trying to get their footing around and trying to earn a little bit of respect and try to make their name within this Transervice Cup Series. And the respect level that we've seen throughout this season has been absolutely tremendous. We'll come by this time, cross flags, we're halfway home.
Yeah, like any series, it's a graduation. First thing you got to do is make the field. Second thing you got to do is not embarrass yourself. Third thing is you got to try and figure out how to be competitive and work your way forward. A lot of these drivers, during the midweek, they're racing other places or they're putting in the practice, and then they come here and try to give the best effort they can, and you start to see new names over time come through. Daniel Falkingham, he didn't show up and win races in the beginning. He ran well, but he had to learn how to do his craft, and now top competitive car wherever he runs.
You've got to learn. You got to put in the time, and Daniel Falkingham is one of those drivers that definitely puts in the time. But how about Anthony DeBarro? We saw on the first run where once we hit some laps on the tires and fuel started to burn off, he started to fall off the pace of Daniel Falkingham. I think he's trying to put everything that he can in the short run basket because he's pulled out to 1.6 seconds over Daniel Falkingham. I would almost be concerned, Kevin, about the gap in between Falkingham and Byron Daly, because we saw Byron, that car got a little bit better as the run came on, but by the time Byron was able to kind of match or be a little bit better than Daniel Falkingham on that long run, there was 3 seconds in between them. Now there's only about a second or so in between himself and Daniel Falkingham. So keep an eye on the top 3 and the way they go through this run, because Anthony DeBarro's pulled away. Completely different than what we saw in the first run, but he also has clean air and track position.
You know, one thing I'll say about Falkingham, and some would agree to disagree with me, is that he's certainly fast wherever we go, and especially after restarts and fresh tires. But on long runs, I think that's his Achilles heel, and a lot of drivers are able to figure out some way to get a little more speed than him out of the car. Byron Daly showing evidence of that here tonight. His car has been great on the long run, just cruising that number 33 right now in third position. He just really needs the track position. But coming back to Anthony DeBarro, our leader, currently 22nd in points. He's only run 2 races, and he's got a top 5 and a top 10, and here he is leading past the halfway point with a really strong appearance here at Phoenix. These drivers get to drop a couple races during the season and then end up somewhere in the point championship, and DeBarro, even though he's missed a couple, this puts him in good standing if he could come out of Phoenix here with a good solid run.
He comes up at a corner number 4, and we kind of expected DeBarro to be good this season. He's had when you look at the record, when you look at the stat line and the box score for Anthony DeBarro, he is one of those drivers that you come to expect to run up front at SIM500, but we've also seen it in the first couple of races that some of these drivers haven't really got the runs that they've anticipated. Obviously, Brian Macklin, I think, is a great example. Started off well at Daytona and just fell off the cliff the last couple of races, including tonight, where he's likely going to finish 43rd. There's some drivers that have had up and down seasons, and I think Anthony DeBarro maybe kind of started off a little bit slower than maybe he wanted to, but now we're starting to see him run where we're used to seeing him run in this Transervice Cup Series, and that is near or at the front of this field. Daniel Falkingham has been able to chisel away a couple of hundredths a lap, but instead of tenths that he probably wants to, it's hundredths, and he's still got plenty of time to get there and plenty of laps to get it done, because, Kevin, if this thing stays green, there's at least one more green flag pit stop in here, I would think.
Yeah, and as we look through, the driver who's really against the fence right now is Fuller. Out of this event, dropped down to the 14th position in points, a drop of 9, and DNF here tonight. That's certainly not going to help his system. I'm looking at an EJ O'Rourke running 16th. You called it earlier. Started 43rd, shotgun. Quietly working his way forward. The car's got a little bit of damage, but looks pretty solid right now in the 16th position, knocking on the top 15.
After starting dead last and having that save and just everything that's gone on for EJ O'Rourke tonight, I think he's probably happy with that personal comfort 41, considering how the night has started. Now, keep in mind, there are still 70 laps left in this race this next time by. So he's got plenty of time to what can be done in 1.5, Kevin, can be undone very easily, especially in this sport. But you've got Tyler Dalton ahead of him. He's had a pretty good run so far this evening. He's had an up-and-down rookie season in this Transervice Cup Series. But EJ, behind him, has a little bit of a bobble off of turn number 2. He's definitely wheeling that race car, looking to pick up a little bit more. And Doug Roth right in behind him in the 43. Great to see the STV colors up here battling for a top 20 run. And we come back off of corner number 4. We'll complete lap number 91.
Falkingham off of turn number 4 last time, scraped that right rear. Don't tell me he's not on the gas trying to get there. He's, last week runner-up finish. He's 1.3 seconds behind DeBarro right now, and he's hustling that car. It looks a little sloppy. We talked about how good the car was earlier, straight on the rail. Right now, I think because he's hustling the car, the tail is wagging a little bit. But he's making time, cutting that distance down a little bit. And when these drivers see somewhere around 60 to 70, they know, Tim, registers in their DNA that there's one run left. That's pretty much what you look at. 50, 60 laps is a run. You're getting to the last half of the race. And now you start entering that mindset. Do I need to run faster laps? Do I need to close this gap? How am I going to get to him? Will we have a caution? All those things are calculating while you're trying to hit your marks.
A lot of things run through the minds, and some of these drivers have the crew chiefs. Some of them are able to, kind of put that on them. A lot of these drivers are on multi-car teams per se. They're all in the same Discord or same TeamSpeak channel. Some of them are delegated, I guess, to fuel mileage and delegated to what they want to do when it comes to pit strategy. And some of them just drive the race car, and obviously we can see them doing a pretty good job of it. But managing the gap and managing the race is a different thing all in itself, and especially on a long to a short run. And last 5 laps or so, Daniel Falkingham has started to reel in the 27 of Anthony DeBarro, and Byron Daly not too far in behind, about a second in behind the 39. And so keep an eye on this battle for the lead as it starts to get a little bit closer. About a second you ride on board with Falkingham trying to close in on Anthony DeBarro.
When you have 2 cautions in a row, 3 cautions in the race, you try to decide what's the cadence of the race going to be like. Sometimes these drivers can just sense it in their fiber. We're going to have more cautions, or we're done with cautions, we're going to have a long green flag run. They make decisions on how much utility to use of the car, how much of the tire, how hard they should run up off the corner. Do I wear that right front out? Am I wearing the right rear out? And you start thinking about these long runs, and here you start getting into the Bill Murray moment where you're going, no, just trying to get in the zone, Tim, to run quick laps. And I'm looking back at Byron Daly. He, too, looks really good. And I suspect that these top 3 are going to close up here in time.
The accordion is going to come back together, but just a matter of how long this run goes. If we do see a caution flag, if we do see these drivers hop down to pit road under green, and Kevin, it wouldn't surprise me to see this race go green to the end of it, and I don't want to jinx it, we'll touch some wood, but you look at that incident that we had to kick off the first caution flag. For the most part, they had it all gathered up, and EJ just enough sideways to pick up that yellow flag from the sim. So we'll see what kind of pace this run has, whether it does go green the rest of the way or it does see a caution flag or 2. But you take a look on your screen, that is Byron Daly in the 33, currently running in position number 3, and in behind Nick Kohan, currently running in position number 4, Tim Johnston in position number 5, and has a shot at a top 4 run here.
Action's kind of quiet on the track right now, so we'll take a moment to tell you. This race is being brought to you by Transervice Transportation and Logistics Solution, a history of service, a tradition of excellence. Visit them on the web at www.transervice.com. And by Kong Beer Bong. Be the life of the party. Visit kong2drunk.net. Make the good times better. The Transervice Cup Rookie Championship is sponsored by RacingBids.com. Racing collectibles for race fans. Visit their live auctions through facebook.com/racingbrids. We want to thank our sponsors who support the Transervice Monday Night Series, and we're seeing a great race if you're just joining us. 100 laps in the books, 160 laps is the distance. A couple of cautions in through the middle of the race, but right now we're on a long green flag stretch. And that top 3, Tim, as we talked about, looks like they're starting to tighten up.
Yeah, they're starting to tighten up, and it's starting to get to that point where you really have to, I don't want to say manage the race because there's still plenty of laps left in this thing, but you look back to Anthony DeBarro and Daniel Falkingham and the cat and mouse game that's kind of being played at the front of this field. Falkingham whips off about 5 quick laps or so, Kevin, and gets himself a little bit closer, and then Anthony DeBarro kind of tries to one-up him and picks up a couple laps that are quick, and they're kind of going back and forth, and eventually I think that accordion that you mentioned is going to come back together, but Daniel Falkingham is a little bit quicker on this game as he slides that car out of corner number 4. Big wiggle there for the 39, but now we got lap traffic to come into play here.
Yeah, it's not just onesie, twosie. There's a bunch of different cars right out in front of them. They're looking at 6, 8 cars, and now you try to figure out, well, how are you going to pass these cars? Are they going to yield the lane? Do you have to roll around to the outside? Will they be side by side? Is car up in the fence? So Leary trying to get out of the way of the leaders. He banged it off the wall but kept it going. And here comes DeBarro underneath the stricken car of Rivera. He's going to clear that as Falkingham. The good news for the second place car, as is always the custom, Tim, the first place car opens a hole, the second one tries to drive through it.
And it might be a little bit easier on that second place car to try to pick up what he can. And there goes Falkingham down to the inside of the 22 to get that clean air, per se, and go back on the hunt as we have 55 laps remaining in this Transervice Cup Series race. Anthony DeBarro continues to lead this thing, and the lap traffic gets a little bit thicker up ahead of him with Elliot Henderson, Robert Gillenwater, and Shane Ewing. That would be the next little group of cars that Anthony DeBarro is going to reach as the leader. Should mention as well, Chris Gabot has called it a night. The 7 car has retired from the race, as has Justin Fuller, Eric Arnold, and the 2 that we mentioned earlier, Adam Gilliland and Brian Macklin. So for the team that Justin Fuller, Adam Gilliland, Brian Macklin, those drivers that work together, Kevin, not their night. They're going to have to regroup and come back next week and try it all over again.
Yeah, for sure, that team debrief is going to be an interesting one, as 0.6 of a second for Falkingham tracking down DeBarro, running right behind him. And, you know, when you get a little closer, especially in the bridesmaid position last week, Tim, I can only imagine Daniel's thinking win, win, win.
Absolutely, and especially the way he kicked off the season. Didn't make it to Daytona. Was sitting on the sidelines watching everybody run the season opener, and now he is currently sitting in position number 2, leader in sights, knowing that there's a little bit of strategy to play in here on a long run if this thing continues to stay green as it has on this longer run. How do I manage my tires? How do I manage the fuel load? What do I do if I do come down on pit road under green? There's a lot to really play into this thing as Falkingham continues to wheel that race car, tries to get a little bit closer to DeBarro on this run.
Just kind of stalking him, not pushing too hard, just trying to get good, clean laps. The car's still a little sideways coming up off the corner, but lap 76 is that final pit window. We obviously cleared that, but we went back green on lap 60, Tim. So definitely these drivers going to have to make one stop. And now you question yourself, do you run as far as the fuel will take you? Or do you try to figure out half the distance and do better on tires? They can run 84 laps there. We see some drivers ducking off.
There's the answer. Anthony DeBarro is down on pit road. He's going to bring a couple more along with him as well. One was hot to the line back there. I think that might have been the 2, and indeed it was a Kelly down on the pit road. I don't know. If he doesn't get a speeding penalty, it was mighty close. But the leader is down on the pit road of Anthony DeBarro to get service to his race car, and this should, I don't want to say force the hand of Daniel Falkingham and the rest of this field, but it's definitely going to put them into thinking mode, I would think, if the leader is down this early.
Now DeBarro has to hope that he could just see this thing run green and not get himself caught out. That's the strategy play, but I like that risk. You got to take the gamble sometimes to get yourself a win, and as we see sometimes, when the leader goes in, it pulls everybody else in. It's feeding time at the zoo again.
Falkingham will bypass pit road this time and stay on the racetrack, lead one more lap in this Transervice Cup Series race at Phoenix. Byron Daly, Nick Kohan, Tim Johnston, and Josh Parker are now your top 5 on the racetrack. So keep an eye on Falkingham. The see where the undercut kind of lies between himself and Anthony DeBarro, as that gap was getting a little bit smaller between your top two. It's been about 3 laps, and I think that might be it as the 39. Nope, was going to stay on the racetrack that time. He was flirting with that apron and flirting with the wall off of corner number 4. And look at Byron Daly manage the gap. He's down to a half second.
He's right there. Nicholas Kohan's right behind him. Sometimes these drivers use that apron to help turn the car down there in turn number 4. They'll go down, just touch the apron, and helps the car rotate a little bit. But Falkingham, he's not going to have fast laps here because he's got all these cars right in front of him, some of them heading to pit road. Still stays out on the racetrack, as 111 was where DeBarro went in, and we're working lap 115. Falkingham still stays out, along with his pursuer. Right behind him is the 33 of Byron Daly.
Here's the 21 of Kohan down on pit road to get service for the final time here this evening. Falkingham nearly got into Shane Ewing as he put Ewing a lap down. That was close at the closing rate that he had, the 32 car. One of those drivers involved in one of those early incidents, and just the way Falkingham got up to him, nearly got into the back of the 32. He'll fall one more lap down. No harm, no foul, but a very close call for the leader.
Falkingham cleared him, but Daly got stuck underneath. He had to kind of lift out to be able to make the corner. That's going to cost him a little bit of speed. Will the 39 duck? It doesn't look like he's slowing down in any rate at this point. Drives up off the corner as the 33 sideways, and there goes the 27 by. So at least for DeBarro, if he can get past with those fresh tires, the 39, it's possible that if the caution comes out, it's not going to hurt him too bad. He rolls right past and is going to put himself tail end lead lap.
Yeah, that puts him back on the lead lap. And if we do see a caution flag, probably doesn't come down on the pit road. And even if we do see a caution flag as Byron Daly heads to pit road in the 33 car, he'll peel off from position number 2. Even if we do see a caution flag, Kevin, it's Anthony DeBarro's got another set of tires down there, but we've also got some more laps to run, so I don't know if he would take them right away. The strategy is very intriguing. There's Josh Parker also on pit road in the 23 car as Byron Daly comes down to his box. We'll see if the 39 comes down pit road this time, and I believe he he's still going to stay out on the racetrack. Just the way they run that at a turn number 4, kind of flirting with that apron and that yellow line, but Falkingham continuing to stay out on this racetrack and leads. It's put Jose Gonzalez up to position number 2.
You have to wonder how this is going to work out for Falkingham. He's running laps somewhere in the 29-second bracket, and as you saw the 27 streak away, his laps are down in the 27-second bracket. He's a full 2 seconds a lap faster, and the question is, if he does not get a caution, will Falkingham, on the average, not work out? It's one of those things you never know until they match up after all the pit stops are over.
And not questioning the pit strategy, because that's why they are on the racetrack and we are up here, but maybe Falkingham knows something that we do. Oh, there he goes, down on the pit road in 39. He had to cut in front of Kohan to get there. I was about to say that hand was kind of forced, I thought, about 2 or 3 or 4 laps ago, where Byron came on to pit road, and all those drivers that were inside the top 5 had already been on to pit road and kind of made that undercut a little bit more, kind of forced their hand. This should hand the lead back over to Anthony DeBarro at some point, and I say that because Jose Gonzalez is scored as the leader. There goes Byron Daly to the outside of the 26 car as we anticipate him down into pit road, and here comes Jose.
Yeah, Jose drops off. He's got to get to 45 miles an hour, and he locked him down, got to the yellow line. Looks like he's pretty good there, and he's going to yield the lead. I think this is going to look good for DeBarro. He's right now running in the 6th position. We're going to see where the 39 matches up. And the 39 is going to be a little faster, Tim, so we'll see.
39 is going to be a little bit faster, but he's going to have some fresher tires, but I think that's going to kind of even out if this thing stays green. That is your leader on the racetrack right now, Trey Edson. It should, I believe, go back out to Anthony DeBarro in second, but he's still going to be about 10 seconds behind him one way or another. Guile Brooks actually still on the racetrack as well. He will be scored in position number 2 and then go back to Anthony DeBarro in position number 3, or the net leader out of this whole thing. And it looks like, Kevin, DeBarro is 12 seconds behind the leader. Looking to see where the other cars shake out. Byron Daly is scored back in position number 10 right now. So he should be, I believe, second place coming off of pit road. Did Falkingham maybe have an issue down there on pit road, or is it might be just the way the tires are working out for that number 39 car? But we'll see how this all shakes out. Trey Edson continues to lead in the 5.
Yeah, the challenge for Falkingham is he got stuck behind some of these cars that are fast, competitive, and now he's got to try and drive by. They're holding him up a little bit, and he's 23 seconds behind the leader, where DeBarro is 11 seconds. Even with faster tires, he's going to have to run those tires off in order to catch up and make up 10 seconds on the racetrack. And he's also trying to slice his way through some of the slower cars who are battling amongst themselves as he's tucked underneath the number 13. He's being held up here out of turn number 4. So I don't know that this strategy is going to pay off for Daniel.
This is a cluster. Trey Edson on the outside, Doug Rock to the inside, Tyler Dalton, Kevin Brown, and Trey is trying to hold on to the lead here, and he is the only driver, I believe, that's in this little pack that hasn't come down onto pit road. Joey Bailey is still listed up there, but he would have been down pit road, I believe, on the most recent caution, so he might have a little more fuel than the rest of them, and that was the advantage. We talked on that caution about trying to top off and get a few more laps than everybody else. Trey's not going to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel, but if he can somehow make his way and maybe get an extra 10 laps or so, get as much as he can out of it, then a caution flag flies. He's got one extra set of tires than everybody else does on pit road, I do believe. So that may work out in his favor, but he's got to have this thing stay green and hope he gets a few more laps out of this tank.
Yeah, and I believe if they run the distance that he can go out, no matter where he is, if there's a caution there, everybody's going to come for tires. So maybe that'll work out for Trey Edson. He's on that alternative strategy, and he's made his bet. He ought to try to see if he can take advantage of that. However, 7 seconds back to DeBarro. He's got a pretty decent racetrack right now, following Joey Jatina in the number 14 coming out of turn number 2 down through that dog leg. Not making great speed. Joey's down in the lane with him, but DeBarro's turning some pretty quick laps.
He's doing what he has to do to try to reel in the number 5. He is the net leader. The next driver in behind Anthony DeBarro would be Nick Kohan, about 4.5 seconds in behind DeBarro, and then Tim Johnston, Chad Cole, Byron Daly, and Daly has moved up into the top 5 past Chad Cole. So keep your eye on Trey Edson here. Decide if he's going to come down pit road or not on this lap. Looks like he's going to stay out on the racetrack and lead one more. But Anthony DeBarro is closing in as he comes up at a corner number 4. The leader just crossed the stripe. So still plenty of time for Anthony to make up, but he continues to make up about a second a lap. So Trey will probably have some company here in the next 5 laps or so, as we'll have 30 to go at the stripe.
DeBarro currently running second, will yield the lead if Edson goes in. Having good lap times, but I think about he pitted lap 111, and Kohan running second, pitted lap 115. He's got 4 laps fresher tire. And last time by, faster times out of Nicholas Kohan by about 0.4 of a second. So if Kohan can make up those 3 seconds in due time, it might be these two to settle it.
But where do the tires level out? If you are Nick Kohan and you continue to make 0.4 of a second lap, there's the 5 car down onto pit road. So Trey Edson is going to surrender the lead to Anthony DeBarro as DeBarro comes up at a corner number 4, and he'll take the lead back to complete lap number 131. But if you are the 21 car back there and you just saw into the corner of the screen about 2 cars back, Joey Gatina right in between those 2 cars. But if you're Kohan, you're continuing to make up those 0.4 of a second. Kevin, you would have to believe at some point the tires are going to level out if this thing stays green to the end. Where does it level out, and how much can Kohan make up before they level out?
As these laps tick by, we're going to figure that out. So, I don't particularly know the answer. I do think what makes more of a factor, Tim, is who's in front of you and whether you have clean racetrack or not. But as we see the way this worked out, DeBarro A better strategy, splitting the time, having fresher tires over the middle of the distance, has allowed him to gap Daniel Falkingham, who was stalking him through the middle of the race. And Falkingham will have to see whether or not he can use his tire advantage to drive back through and get to him. Certainly, every one of those drivers who did or did not get the strategy they want is looking for a caution.
And at this point, a caution would shake the field up a little bit. Daniel Falkingham was one of those drivers that was up in front early. He is currently in position number 5, and he's actually in a fight for 4th as he and Byron Daly, the 33 car on your screen. That is a battle for position. The Rhine number 3 is not a battle for a spot on the racetrack. The battle is between the 39 and the 33, and Falkingham is trying to get by and try to get all he can into the good of his tires, because when you look at undercut-wise, his tire is a little bit fresher than Byron Daly's. He'll go to the inside and try to cut down on the 33, the Valvoline car. He will do so, and Falkingham will move up one more spot, and now it's about a second or so, or a second and a half, between himself and Tim Johnston running in position number 3. So Falkingham's got to get up on the wheel and use those fresh tires as he can.
You just have to replay those moments there. He came up, the 3 was in the way. There was no way he was going to go to the inside. He went up high, ran high through turn number 1, and was able to cut down and make that pass and made the best he could out of the situation. Veteran concept there to have that awareness, understand where to put the car, and have a drive off. And now he's got a clean racetrack running 4th. Whatever the case may be about all this discussion for strategy, Falkingham's going to finish in the top 5, which is still a respectable run, and we've seen an entertaining race. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out over these last bunch of laps.
Trouble, turn 4.
On the
Caution is
racetrack
out.
over turn 4.
And it happened right ahead of the leaders of 95, at Josh Williams around, and that will draw the yellow flag and will cue up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. And it happened directly in front of Anthony DeBarro, whereas DeBarro was coming up on it. And it was the 95, Paul, that brought the yellow flag out, and he might have had a little bit of help.
Yes, sir. Pulling up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay here. And one of those things, again, we wanted to kind of take a look at it from the old blimp view. And we're going to run a little bit on the slow motion side. You can take a look at the red and blue number 95, yellow numbers on the doors and on the roof of that car. Running side by side with the 44 Glenn Campbell, the Transervice machine. There you can see Chad Coleman up in front there in the 38. The 22 there behind as well, and it looks like the 95 and it comes down a bit. The 44 comes up a little bit, and they make a little bit of contact. And as the 95 of Joshua Williams tries to save that car, kind of loses the back end of it, and it looks like he about had it saved. He was in kind of a 4-wheel slide, but then the 32 kind of came up and gave him a little bit of a shove into the outside wall. So that's a tough break. You can see he did get that thing. He kept it pointed in the right direction. He was able to grab a gear and keep on moving. But this is really going to make things exciting with all the different tire strategies that we've got up front. Some guys on new tires, some guys on old tires. Jose Gonzalez staying out. Everybody else coming down pit road.
Well, as they say, Tim, this changes everything.
It does. I'm not surprised that Trey Edson stayed out on the racetrack. Not a whole lot of laps on his tires. The 26 of Jose Gonzalez going to stay out on this racetrack, and he is going to inherit the lead. A couple of cars in behind him going to come down into pit road that were a lap or multiple laps in the rears. That'll put Trey Edson up to position number 2, I think, when this thing all cycles out. But they are going to be the only 2, I think, Kevin, on the lead lap that stayed out on this racetrack with less than 20 laps to go. Trey's tires, I believe, with this all working out, I believe it's not going to be as bad for the 5. His tires are not necessarily now newer compared to those drivers in behind him. And he's got one set of tires sitting in the pits, Kevin, I believe. But with 20 laps to go and everybody else on new tires, I don't know if he's going to be able to use them or not.
Cautions breed cautions. We saw that earlier, so there is the possibility. But if he does go get tires, there's a lot of cars on the lead lap, and he's going to go to the back. 7 laps on those tires. The question is, are they good enough to hold everybody off? He gambled earlier, kind of was looking for this strategy, and now we'll find out whether or not that's going to work for him. I think the 26 not in as good a position as some of the other ones. Well, let's see. This should be really interesting.
I think it's a strategy that he's kind of made for himself right now. If you're Trey Edson in the number 5, he can't really come down into pit road with 7-lap old tires. You got to get the track position the way you can. He was running back half of the top 10 on that green flag run before the green flag cycle did happen. So if he can finish somewhere in the top 10 after qualifying in position number 8, I think it's a positive on the night. But he is not the control car on this one. It's going to be Jose Gonzalez to the inside, going to be the control car. We'll have a restart with 19 laps remaining in this Transervice Cup Series race for SIM500. And we'll see what Gonzalez can do. Anthony DeBarro and the rest of the field in behind him on brand new, fresh tires. DeBarro, Daniel Falkingham have led a majority of this race. Nick Kohan to the outside. Tim Johnston has been up here battling in the top 10 all night long. We'll see what they have for the final sprint to the finish. 19 laps to go. Pace car in. Jose Gonzalez is your leader, and they'll come out of corner number 4, and he's on the loud pedal. Green flag flies, and now we see, Kevin, where all this strategy comes to play out.
Yeah, DeBarro right to the back bumper, actually almost tapping that 26. He's going to drive low, come down. They're going to be 3 wide through this, so you could have expected this. As Edson is out front, DeBarro trying to hustle up to the second position. Kohan going to take that second spot on the high side. Here comes DeBarro. They're side by side out of turn number 4. Edson having a good run so far. Good restart for the 5.
And the run that Kohan got to take away position number 2 as the yellow flag will fly. Trouble on the racetrack. The run that Kohan had, he definitely needed that. And, this is a parking lot. This isn't good. We got the 22 around. Richard Beasley pulling away, and a few others getting involved in this one. But back of the field, now these drivers up in front will have an opportunity to do it all over again as we queue up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. And, Paul, what happened to put us under the yellow?
Big bada boom. We're going to take a quick look here from the blimp, the instant replay here. Randy Yoakum and the number 8 car. You can see him kind of closing in on the back bumper. I believe that's the 19. He kind of thinks better of it. He checks up just a little bit, and the car right there in front of him, hard to see the number from way up here in the blimp, but you can see loses the back end just a little bit and tries to correct it. Goes down towards the inside of pit wall and overcorrects just a little bit, turns back right. I believe that's a 99 of Tommy Ryan. You can see clips Randy Yoakum, and calamity ensues after that. Lots of cars involved here. There you see the 22 skating on through. That's a replay we're going to have to take a peek at because, he almost gets it. Nope, gets tagged. Tough break there. Richard Beasley involved, the 12 involved as well. There you see Kevin Brown and Gail Brooks in the 71 kind of coming up a little bit late to the party. Looks like they were able to get woed up in time, so definitely some heads-up driving there. We'll see if we can maybe take an onboard look from the Kevin Brown machine here in that number 93. I don't believe he hit anything there, so that's definitely good news, but he definitely had a front row, at least a third row seat to that wreck. And here's the onboard, and you'll be able to see about 5 or 6 cars up is where this wreck kind of starts, and there's the smoke, and you see way off the throttle, backs it down, and there's nowhere to go. A complete wall of smoke at this point, hoping for the best. You can see down low, he's just kind of trying to follow the car in front of him there. That's the 71 of Gail Brooks, and there you can see everybody's pretty much come to a stop at this point. Kevin gets the car slowed all the way down. He's on the brakes hard, and awesome job. Fantastic job by the number 93 of Kevin Brown, avoiding all the wreck, all the cars, all the stopped cars after the fact. So definitely good heads-up driving there from the 93.
That's one of those things, Tim, where you see the smoke in front of you, the track is completely closed, and you're not worried about what's in front of you. You're looking at the rearview mirror to see if somebody's going to run you over. Been there, done that. What's interesting about that is that we saw a good number of drivers take the wave around. I think Kevin Brown was one of those drivers. Now that they have another caution, cautions breed cautions, some of those drivers, if they have another set of tires, are going to duck in here and get fresh tires, and you'll have fresh tires out in the back. So this is a lot of fun. Just the way every time we have one of these cautions, it's like rolling the dice.
I think if you're Trey Edson, you kind of expect that up in front, and I think kind of in the back of your mind, he's kind of saying, keep doing it, boys. With those guys with the one set of tires on, it could lead to some of those drivers, I don't want to say running over the drivers in front of them that are on the older tires, but there might be a speed differential, even though it's only 10 laps. There might be that little bit of a differential, and you might see some of that come to fruition, but have a restart here with about 14 laps to go. Still plenty of time for those guys near the front. And we're talking DeBarro, Falkingham, Nick Kohan, Trey Edson to battle it out for the win. Tim Johnston's been hanging out in the top 5 for the second half of this race, looking for a good finish. Jose Gonzalez on those older tires is still up here in the top 10. Differing strategies, differing agendas, all trying to get the victory at the end of this one. But you hit the nail on the head with the cautions, breed cautions, Kevin. We may not be done with yellow flags, even though these guys up in front want to race it out for the win.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, this is going to be fun. Edson, Kohan, DeBarro, Falkingham, Timothy Johnston, your top 5. Byron Daly, Jose Gonzalez, Josh Parker, Pedro Mojica, and David Comstock roll out as your top 10 for this restart. Pace car goes in, and they're going to turn it over to Trey Edson. Edson gets a good start. If he could beat him to turn number 1, maybe they can level these tires off, and he's going to get himself a shot to win this thing.
Kohan going to be able to roll the top here off at turn number 2 if he can get to the outside, and he's able to do so. We watch those drivers down to the inside, led by Anthony DeBarro in the 27. Can he get to the inside of Trey Edson? Not that time. Down the back straightaway and into 3 and 4. The 39 of Daniel Falkingham, they'll look for the run out of that car in position number 4. It's going to be Trey Edson leading this lap, but Kohan trying to roll the top and take away the lead.
Side by side for the lead coming up, and yellow's going to come out. I don't know if DeBarro was out or Kohan was out in front of Edson when that yellow came out. Depends on where the timing and scoring picked them up, but I give a nod to the 5. Great run there on that restart.
And regardless, he'll end up on the front row when we do have our next restart. But again, Paul, it looks like middle to the back of the pack being the reason for the caution. What brought it out?
Yeah, middle of the back, middle of the pack, towards the back of the pack. I'm going to actually focus in here on the number 3 of Jeff Ryan, involved in this one, and a lot of different, almost knee-jerk reaction, it looks like. We can see there the number 3, Jeff Ryan, just kind of running right behind Tommy Ryan there in the 99, and it looks like he gets a little bit of help from the back. Nope, just kidding. Taking a look, maybe the 8 and the 12 side by side up ahead here. It was one of those things, there's the help. The 20 and the 3 get together, but it's also a simultaneous instance. You can see some smoke from up in front of these cats. And well, we're waiting for, there's a big hit for Kevin Brown. Almost made it through this time. Wasn't able to get around a second time. Let him back that up and see if we can catch who it was that got wrecked in front of these guys. It was one of those things, it was a simultaneous wreck. These guys in the back, the 3 and the 20 getting involved with each other, and up in the in front of them by a few positions, you can see the smoke coming out. Really hard to tell who it came from. It might actually be one of those iRacing connection glitches where the car kind of disappears and pops back in and the smoke puffs out. But yeah, it looks like just the 3 and the 20 getting into each other, trying to go for the same piece of real estate.
I think the incident might have been the number 2 somehow. Looked like maybe that's where that smoke area came from Mike Kelly, but yeah, you got a little side breeze going down on that apron. You see it up there. Yeah. And the 2 was taking evasive action as the 8 was sideways. Yeah, because I saw the 2 cars sideways in that spot. There's the smoke. Okay. So it does look like Kohan out front when the caution dropped. He scored the leader right now over Edson. Edson going to be on the outside, DeBarro and Falkingham. And I'll tell you what, Falkingham looked very, very racy there, Tim, on that restart. I think he was ready to strike.
So did Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro was trying to work that inside, but give it to Kohan. The outside line was not, I don't think necessarily the preferred groove around here, Kevin, but was able to make it work just enough and be ahead at the scoring loop to take that yellow flag in the first place position. But I think even if the yellow flag didn't fly, he was going to be able to get that momentum off of turn 2 to clear Trey Edson. But now Trey is going to have the outside line for the second place starting position, assuming that the 21 restarts on the inside. But we'll see what lane he takes here when we come by. This time, lights should be out atop the pace car. But we've seen some comers and goers here, especially on these last couple of starts. We've seen Jose Gonzalez, the older tires, just around that action that we saw with David Comstock. He's to the inside, I believe, 11th place right now. EJ O'Rourke's back there as well. Kyle Taraska. Haven't talked a whole lot about Stefan Marinik tonight. Just outside the top 10, looking to make something happen. If they want to get up in the wheel here, they've only got 7 laps to do it, as we'll come by, and Nick Kohan takes that inside line, Kevin.
I look at a couple of these drivers lurking back there, 5th, 6th, 7th. Think about my Saturday morning race. The first place car went down on the apron, got too low, slid up. The third place car got all excited, drove up into the second place car. They all went to the fence. I was running 4th and thought better of driving underneath them, which was smart. And yeah, this is the type of dynamic you get in the finishes here. So look, we have no idea who's going to win this one as the green comes out. Let's watch.
Nick Kohan up the hill a little bit as they battle now for position number 2. It's going to be Anthony DeBarro quickly taking position number 2 away as Trey Edson kind of stuck on that outside line. Can't get the momentum rocking. Daniel Falkingham takes a look to the inside. Byron Daly as the yellow flag will fly one more time.
Second verse, same as the first. The 26 went down into turn 1, had to check up to keep off the car in front of him. And unfortunately, the car that went around was the 2. Mike Kelly checking up. Did a full 360, didn't hit anything, but Gael Brooks and Robert Gillenwater crashed hard together. They're sitting over there off of turn number 2, and we go back under caution. And now we get to talk about green-white checker, Tim.
We do, and Paul, that started way up there with the 26.
Yeah, that was another one of those knee-jerk reaction type wrecks there. You can see there's a lot of action going on, and I believe it started with a 26 of Gonzalez getting in the into the pit wall there at the right at the end of pit wall. You can see it as it comes up on the screen, just gets a little bit out of shape, and kind of everybody behind him, he does get a little bit of help down there. He misses the wall, but he's still a little bit sideways, and you can kind of see everybody behind him bunching up there. You can see running a little bit 3 wide. The 18 tries to move in. The 2, Mike Kelly, gets spun around there, gets a little bit of a shot from the 19, but really nowhere to go. And just calamity at this point, parking lot as it were. We're having a yard sale here in turn number 1, and man, it looks like everybody from the mid-pack on back is invited.
So we rack them again, and we're going to go back here. 156 on the ticker. It really doesn't change anything. It's the same objective, Tim. Get the best restart you can and try to hold off those hungry pack behind you.
Yeah, they've had a couple of starts up in front here to try to make this work and make this happen. I think we're going to see you mentioned same song, different verse. We're going to see the 27 of Anthony DeBarro likely start on the outside, assuming that Kohan takes that inside line. And now with Anthony DeBarro having that fresh tires as Kohan did, Kohan was able to get the best of DeBarro on one of those earlier restarts when we went green with Jose Gonzalez and Trey Edson on the front row. We'll now see if the shoe can be on the other foot and DeBarro can take the advantage, but they are running out of laps. I'm assuming there's going to be at least one green-white checker on this thing, so if it does happen that we do go to a little bit of overtime, that might help out a Nick Kohan or an Anthony DeBarro, but I don't think those guys are done with the activity, I guess, at the back half of this field.
And as we look how this shakes up, I just start looking back through where people started and where they're running. And, you know, we've chronicled his race all the way through. EJ O'Rourke started 43rd. He's running 10th And each one of these opportunities they get for a restart allows you to claw your way forward and get a couple positions. So how about that run for EJ?
And this race not done yet. There's still a couple of laps to pick up a couple of positions. So this one is not over. We'll come by this time, and Kevin will have a de facto green-white checker. Not technically a green-white checker, but we will have 2 laps to determine who wins this race, unless there is a caution before they get back to the white, and then we would go to overtime. But Kohan is in control of this one. I think he's done enough of these restarts that he might be able to skirt away, but we'll see what Anthony DeBarro and Daniel Falkingham have to say on that outside line, because this one is far from over, even though we've only got 2 laps left.
Yeah, we talked about this track racing a little bit like a short track, and as you could see by the carnage, a lot of damage to these cars with 7 cautions, but so far DeBarro and Falkingham have been the class of the field, but it's up to Kohan to kick it off. He gets a great start. He's out by a car length and a half as they roll into turn 1. DeBarro tucks down below. Falkingham stuck on the outside of the 5, trying to get a good run up off the corner to be part of this contest. 5 wiggles a little bit as Kohan leads him going into turn number 3.
They'll come down into corner number 3. Anthony DeBarro trying to get a good launch off of corner number 4, trying to diamond and apex that corner a little bit better than Kohan. They'll see the white flag. They'll get to the white flag. Final lap of this race, and Nick Kohan has a great run, but look at the run that DeBarro gets down the back straightaway for the final time. Kevin, does he have enough?
Right to the back bumper. They're going to go down, slam through that tri-oval, and as they come into turn number 3, will he tap him? He's going to drive to the outside and try and get the run.
He was really aggressive on the corner entry, but it's not going to be enough. Nick Kohan going to pick up the win at Phoenix in the Transervice Cup Series. DeBarro has to settle for second, and in behind, Daniel Falkingham, Trey Edson, and Byron Daly. And I think when you look at those top 3, Kevin, got a tale of 3 races. You got Daniel Falkingham, who dominated early the first run. Anthony DeBarro pulled away on that second run. Then you had the exchange of green flag pit stops. Kohan was able to take an advantage on one of those late restarts and ending up picking up the victory. It's really a tale of 3 races here.
Yeah, what a great race for Nicholas Kohan. Played the right strategy at the end, ran hard when he had to, and held everybody off. And yeah, you know, DeBarro and Kohan, I believe they're teammates or at least friends. They share notes. And a Jersey and a Pennsylvania guy took it over a New England guy as the Northeast represented really well here at the finish. Great race for Nicholas Kohan. And yeah, he's going to put himself in the championship run.
Yeah, Parker, Tim Johnston, Pedro Mojica, EJ O'Rourke from 43rd to 9th tonight, and Chad Cole completing your top 10. David Comstock, 11th. Kyle Taraska, 12th. Scott Stenzel, Doug Roth, great run to 14th. Chad Coleman, 15th. Stefan Marinek, Richard Beasley hung in there for 17th. Tyler Dalton, Scott Simley, and Jose Gonzalez, your top 20. From 21st on back, Joey Bailey, Tommy Ryan, Joey Gattina, Randy Yoka, Mike Kelly, Josh Williams, Mick Marsky, Elliot Henderson, Bobby Wetzel, Kevin Brown. This is the point where some of these drivers had some tough luck in this race. Glenn Campbell, Jeff Ryan, Guy L. Brooks, Thomas O'Leary, Shane Ewing, Robert Gillenwater back to 1 lap down, and then these drivers didn't finish the race, including Jimmy Coleman, Nelson Rivera, Chris Cabot, Justin Fuller. We're going to see Eric Arnold, Adam Gilliland, and Brian Macklin dead last here this evening. But it's Nick Kohan celebrating and taking his victory lap around here, the Polish victory lap at Phoenix, made famous by Alan Kowicki. And Nick Kohan deserved it. He did what he had to do at the end of this race, Kevin, to take that victory and lock it down. And you mentioned it, punches his ticket into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we ran green to the finish and they got to race for it. We didn't have to have that green-white checker interference. They finished the traditional style. And you got to give a call to Anthony DeBarro. He could have dumped him going into that final corner. Instead, he chose to go to the outside, see if he could get the run off. And just a heads-up race by all of these drivers. Good racing tonight.
And I believe we have our winner, Nick Kohan, on the line. Nick, congratulations. Big win here at Phoenix. Want to ask you about the restart after we had that green flag run, where you and Anthony had to battle not only with yourselves but through traffic to take away the win. How big was that restart in order to get that track position at the end?
Yeah, I think it was circumstantial because, Ant got stuck behind Jose, who had a little older tires than Trey did. So it kind of put me in a better position to get ahead of him. And then the caution came out, put me, ahead of him. I think I was second on the next restart. So that was a big advantage. Ant was really fast tonight. I felt pretty good, like in the middle of the runs. Didn't really feel too great on the long runs. I know my teammate Tim was really fast in the long runs. That stretch we had there towards the end was going to play out pretty cool. We had Dizzy Motorsports 1, 2, 3 with Ant, me, and Tim, and it would have been cool to see how that played out. But that kind of happens here at Phoenix with the late race cautions like that, and you have to drive very aggressively to try and get to the front. And thankfully, we put the Perk Coffee CG Automotive Toyota Camry in good position there, and got us up front when it mattered, and didn't lead many laps tonight. Don't think we were the fastest car tonight for sure. This is one of my better tracks, though, and I've been in a lot of situations where we had late race restarts like this, so I felt pretty comfortable there at the end. But it was really fun to battle my teammate there.
We had two really long green flag runs in this race to kick off the race, and what almost looked like was going to take us to the end with the green flag pit stops. Did you anticipate the rash of cautions that we did get near the end of this one? Did you anticipate that on that second run when everybody was making green flag stops?
Not really. Yes and no. It's hard to say. We had such a couple long stretches there in this race. I really thought that maybe it could go. That's why me and Ant and Tim kind of gambled on pitting earlier than everybody else to try and get a jump. And it paid off. We got 1, 2, 3, and the caution fell with us 1, 2, 3. So it worked out pretty good. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like that at the end, but more often than not, it is like that here at Phoenix. It's these restarts are crazy here, especially on the backstretch there. So, like I said, it's just a really good team effort here for Dizzy Motorsports tonight. 1, 2, and I think 7th. Unfortunately, Shane had some bad luck tonight, but it was fun to battle with teammates up here in the top 5.
The competition in this series is stiff. It's one of the best fixed setup cup leagues on iRacing. To get the win now and try to lock yourself into the playoffs, how does it change your mindset going forward here in the rest of this regular season?
Oh, man. It feels like a big weight lifted off my shoulders because I haven't really, after last season, I didn't run this car all winter until we got to Daytona, and that was it. And, I didn't get a lot of practice in. We put a little bit of practice in this week. I've always been pretty good here, though, so I felt pretty comfortable that we'd be a top 10 car. Didn't really think I had the speed to win it. A couple good cars got taken out tonight, but you got to put yourself in position, and we did. But to have this win early on is big. Last year, I think we got the win second or third race of the year, and it was much more relaxing going the rest of the year, knowing you already got a win. You can kind of gamble on strategy, and like you said, this is one of the toughest fixed setup Cup Series out there. There's a lot of really fast guys in here with Falkingham, Gilliland, Fuller, DeBarro. It's really stacked, and it means a lot to get a win early like this. I think it's a little bit of an advantage.
You mentioned some of the sponsors on this race car and the teammates that helped make it happen. Who else do you want to thank for tonight's first place effort at Phoenix?
Like I said, Perk Coffee for being on the car tonight. It's the first time we're in this paint scheme in a little while, so glad to have those guys back on board. CJ Automotive, Beer Hill Gang, all my teammates at Dizzy Motorsports. A little shout out to Nick Chambrone. He's missed the past couple races here, but we'll get him in next week. Also, shout out to my dad for watching this one. Also, thanks to you guys for putting on this good broadcast, and Joey for putting this league together.
That's Nick Kohan, our winner this evening, and into the playoffs after his win this evening at the Phoenix Raceway. And Kevin, you've caught up with his teammate, led a bunch of laps here this evening, was really strong on that second run. Anthony DeBarro was down there with you.
Yeah, Anthony here talking to one of his crew guys. Anthony, how about that race You had a shot right there at the end, and that's pretty much all you could ask for at Phoenix is to be in the hunt, top 5. A little bit short, but I think circumstances played a little bit into how this one went tonight.
Yeah, I'm not going to get down about our night. What a car! I think Daniel might have been a little better on the long runs. Tim was like lightning fast on the long runs, but just the way the cautions fell worked out. We beat Daniel at the pits and the clean air. I just was able to get going, and yeah, we pitted early there, and I don't know. I think it was going to work out, and then the caution came out, and it's just tough guys to stay out, and you don't want to run people over. So I was just kind of bottled up on the bottom until I could get around Jose, and then Nick was able to get in front of me with the same tires. So it's just so hard to pass because everyone's on equal setup, and everyone's just like it's so even. If you look at the top first 24th in qualifying, how close everything is. So it's a lot of it is how you qualify in the series.
Take us through those last couple laps. What were you trying to achieve in getting past the 21? We saw you go in that final corner and peek out to the outside, but just ran out of racing room, it looks like.
No, I went into the final corner. I was going to give him a little tap, but he drove it in just as hard as I did. And I actually slid up the hill. I wasn't trying to go high, and I got to run off, but it wasn't going to be enough. I think maybe a couple more laps, we probably would have been beating and banging. But so I'm just glad we finished first, second, and we didn't wreck each other. But it was a good race, and I'm happy for Nick and happy he won. It's been a while since he won. I think it was the beginning of last year, California. So it's good for him and good for the team. Won too.
Yeah, certainly a good team finish. Tim and I sounded like professors trying to deliberate how this race was going to go tonight. The strategy, you had Falkingham stalking you the whole race all the way through. Talk about that in the middle of the race. What were you thinking when you ducked in and he didn't come with you on the pit strategy?
That was right about splitting that in half. I saw I had another set of tires in the pit, so I was like, all right. So if I take it here, and it kind of just worked out how the caution fell when it cycled through. I think if I would have strapped a lap down there was a period of time, maybe 10 laps, where I was stuck a lap down. So if the caution would have came out then, I would have been behind the 8-ball. But it kind of worked out in our favor with how the caution fell. It just we couldn't get a good couple restarts there at the end to get out front. But like I said, congratulations to Nick, and thanks to all the guys at Dizzy. Tim had a great run. He just got shuffled back on the restarts. He was definitely top 5 car, and Shane just had some bad luck. So we'll get him up there next week, and we'll see what we can do.
There you go, driver of the Coors Light Camry, Anthony DeBarro, second place finish here tonight. Thanks, Anthony, for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you, guys. Good job. I look forward to reviewing the broadcast each week.
There you go, second place finisher. Tim, I know you're standing there next to Daniel Falkingham, who's kind of replaying the race as the events went on tonight.
Well, Daniel, it's not the finish that I'm sure you wanted to have after the start of this race, but walk us through a night at Phoenix. Are you happy with the third place finish? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I can't lie, Tim. I am very disappointed about how this race played out. Definitely the pit crew definitely needs to have some more practice this next coming week before Atlanta and whatnot. But that's essentially, I think, where our race kind of went haywire, because we had a really good car at the start of the race, definitely really strong in the long run and whatnot. Then once we lost the lead on that first caution flag, when we all got our first set of tires, I just could not get back to DeBarro. He was so good on the short run. I was trying to lay back, save my rear tires, and by the time I tried to catch back up to him, my right rear was dead. So. And then it all played out from there. The race got hectic with strategy and whatnot. I went long because I really wanted to see if I could hopefully catch a yellow, and then I could be the leader again, because once DeBarro pitted, there was no way I was going to pass him again, because he was going to have so far of a gap after that one lap undercut, because the tires were very important tonight, like 2-3 second fall off. So I tried to do the opposing strategy, and once I realized I really didn't think a yellow was going to come out, I decided to pit, get my tire, and try to get back through the field. And thankfully, we were in a good spot when the caution eventually did come out, and we were able to pick off a few cars one by one over the next 3 or 4 restarts, whatever it was, and we were able to get back to a podium, top 3, which I felt like we definitely deserved tonight after how well we ran. I mean, got the pole, a lot of laps, but in the end, still very, very disappointed with how he ran. I really wanted to win that race. Definitely felt like we had a good shot at it, but nonetheless, good result, and plus great points for the team for Bill Schoonover with Josh finishing 6th as well. So, say a decent night.
It's not necessarily the win, but you've been racking off these podium finishes, picking up those team points and picking up those championship points. Obviously, somewhere down the road, we expect this 39 car into victory lane, but how big of a momentum boost has it been the last couple of weeks to put this thing on the podium?
It's probably been really good since we had to miss the first race at Daytona. And then pretty much other than that race where we had to start dead last at Auto Club, we finished second, and third. So we're definitely showing this field right now that this 39 is out here to come compete again this year, just like at the end of last year. We had an unfortunate end to the end of last year in the last race and whatnot, and we're showing that we're not down and out. It's an all-new season, and we're coming right back where we were rolling at the start of last year and whatnot, and then at the end of last year as well. So this 39 team, everyone here at First Rate Bay, Loft 207, all my sponsors as well, they're behind me, and I'm showing this field that we're capable of doing good things and hopefully even bigger and better things this season as well.
Before we let you go, you mentioned getting the pit crew some reps going into Atlanta, but this new build has changed a lot. Have you run some laps at Atlanta with the Cup car? What do we expect next week? Because it sounds like it could be a wild race.
I think it'll be a good one. I haven't been able to go run any laps with the Cup car, but I've been, we got a whole week with NIS and whatnot. I might just, if I'm not busy and whatnot throughout the week, I'll probably do some of those just to see. I know we're going to be probably running on the bottom, running up by the wall. It's definitely going to be a chaotic race, trying to figure out these new dynamic track or the new multi-groove racing and whatnot. And plus, the Coke race running tomorrow night as well will probably give us a good representation of what we'll see again next Monday night. So I'm honestly looking really forward to Atlanta. I'm really not looking forward to these mile-and-a-half tracks before this build, the last build that came out. But I'm feeling pretty optimistic. We'll have some really good racing with all the new multi-groove racing and whatnot. So definitely really looking forward to it. Looking to see what happens.
Well, congratulations tonight in the third place run. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, Tim. Also got to thank Transervice for sponsoring the series. Thanks to Joey and everyone here at SIM500 for all they do for the series. And thank you guys for the broadcast, and thanks to everyone who watches the races and whatnot.
It's Daniel Falkingham, another podium run. And Kevin, that car is going to be in victory lane before the regular season is done and punches stick it into the playoffs, you have to believe. But it's just a matter of when. But what a show. 3 drivers on the podium, led a bunch of laps, differing strategies at the end. Great race. Strategy-wise, a great race unfolded, and now we move forward to next week at Atlanta, and Daniel mentioned the Coke race tomorrow night. Excited to see how that racetrack runs, because I've heard some multi-grooves and some less grip, and I'm very intrigued for not only tomorrow night, but next week.
I'm with you. Tonight was an entertaining race, and Phoenix never disappoints in that respect. Now we get to roll into Atlanta in the tire wear, the multi-groove, the fast times. Great racetrack, Atlanta. The real guys like it, and the sim guys like it, and I'm looking forward to next week. What a great season we've had so far.
And we get some racing also this week as well. And Paul, I know it's a little bit of a lighter week, but doubleheader for the TCM Weekly iRacing Series on Wednesday evening for a 7:15 Eastern start. And then we've got some more racing on the weekend. Sim Racing Unleashed is back. And then, the Transervice Cup Series, the Fatheads Cup Series back next week as well. What else is on the radar? What are you seeing?
Right now we're kind of getting into the summertime grind, or the springtime grind, as it were. Everybody's starting to work on the real race cars and get the everything ready for the real race tracks. Tracks starting to open up, and a lot of the COVID restrictions starting to dip on down. So we are very excited for that. That means we're going to be doing a lot of racing at Stafford Motor Speedway here on Friday nights with the Rental Race Car Group, and hopefully having a lot of shop days on Saturdays and throughout the weeks here as well. But just taking a look right now, we got a pretty much, our springtime schedule is pretty much ironed out. Sunday nights, we've got the Sim Racing Unleashed. Monday nights, we got kind of a doubleheader. Tim's Corner Live running at 7:30 or 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and SIM500 Transervice Cup Series at 9:05 on Monday nights. And then Wednesday nights, again, double headers. This week, Fatheads Cup Series is off, so we're running a double header, the Twin 75s for the Tim's Corner Motorsports at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So really looking forward to that. A little bit early start time as well, 7:15 Eastern Time. And then we start it all over again. So Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays here on Vidane TV. And we're pretty excited. We're going to be moving into a new little studio coming up here next couple of days, next week or so. Probably this weekend we're going to be getting a lot of the equipment over to the new little spot there. And that's going to be pretty exciting for all of us here at Vidane TV, but I think that's going to wrap it up here for tonight for everybody here at Vidane TV. I am Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., Kevin England, Tim Terry in the booth this evening. For everybody with SIM500, the Transervice Cup Series here, and don't forget to check out Kong Beer Bongs. Be the life of the party, like Kevin said earlier tonight, kong.2drunk.net. Kong.2drunk.net. I didn't hit that Kong Beer Bong once throughout the show, I promise. But definitely go check those guys out. It's a pretty cool little party favor. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. When we do, we're going to be doing it live. Thanks so much for coming out here tonight at Phoenix. And have a great night.